Hello, it's Ashton Lewis.
And I'm Daphne Lynn.
And you are listening to the
NDE World Podcast.
Welcome to the NDE World Podcast. I am your host, Ashton Lewis, and in the studio with me, my lovely hostess, Miss Daphne Lynn. Hello, Miss Daphne Lynn.
Hello, Ashton Lewis. How are you today?
I'm fine. I am fine, baby. Thank you for asking. Now, I am looking forward to the actual podcast today because we have a really beautiful soul with a beautiful story that's going to share their experience with us. Mm-hmm. And just a really awesome soul. You know, you can just feel the love, just through the phone. But we do have it is actually an interview that we did with Mr. Jay Martin. Mm-hmm. Okay. And like I said, he's got a really awesome story that we're going to share with you guys here in just a moment. And I just want to kind of put a plug for those who are new. Welcome. And those who are returning, welcome back. And don't forget to go to the website. That's NDE.world for more information on who we are and what we do and all of that, kind of cool stuff. Again, that address is
NDE.world.
Awesome. So that is going to be today's episode for our listeners, and I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from this and be able to really get a different perspective on the big picture and what love is, what real love is, and and maybe even question yourself. Are you really loving the way you could be loving, or could it be maybe something else? But anyway, he touches base on all of that stuff, so we'll get into it. So, Miss Daphne, without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get things rolling and share this experience with our listeners?
Yes.
Alrighty, and we are rolling. Mr. J, before we begin, let me, on behalf of the NDE World Podcast, take a moment to let you know that you are one amazing soul with one amazing story. Well, many amazing stories, but and just to let you know, we really appreciate you coming out and really taking the time out of your schedule to share that story with us and the listeners. Man, thank you so much. I appreciate you. We really appreciate you taking the time to do that for us.
Oh, thank you for having me, and it's a humbling experience, and of course I give all praises to my Creator.
Yes, sir. Well, there are no set rules, and we're here for you, my man, so just whatever you feel most comfortable with.
Sounds good. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Oh, no worries, my man. We appreciate you.
All righty. Well, I like to, as with everything, like with books, you want to start from the beginning, and sometimes go through books, but I think the only thing that I agree with that part is that, it's good to have a backstory to know how I arrived in my present moment.
Okay.
I grew up born and raised on the south side of Chicago in Inglewood. Inglewood is known for being like one of the roughest sides of Chicago.
Okay.
We had our moments, of course, but I think what people failed to see, even the media, was that there was a lot of love in the community. We had some bad apples here and there, but I think the love is what balanced it out. And my dad, actually, my mom had me. My dad they were trying to say, what are we going to name him? And he was eating a bag of chips. Jay's potato chips was famous in Chicago, so he was like, Jay, middle name Jay.
There you go.
I was like, wow, well, thanks, Dad, for the confidence. So it stuck, of course, so that's my middle name. My dad, I want to say him and my family, but him and my uncles, they were, drug dealers. They pretty much took care of the family, though, even though they did that. But I was too young to notice what was going on.
Yeah.
And there were some things every now and then that I would see that I was curious on what it was. But as time was going, I started to learn what it was and the consequence that came with having it. And their actions sometimes, it came back on us children, by visits from the police, raids on a home, things like that, or a rival drug dealer, that just want to make his name known.
Yeah.
and we had to live through that. But the teenagers like myself, we took our excitement out on as in dancing, dancing and listening to music and things in that nature and family events. But my mom, she saw how everything was going on, and she was saying that she didn't want to have us in that situation anymore. So she was about to move us to the projects. And the projects, I don't know what she was thinking. The projects is like pretty bad,
Yeah.
you know. But my grandmother, she said, my mom's mom, she didn't want us to move to the project. So what she did, she bought a home just a few blocks away from where we currently were, and we moved in with her. It didn't keep me completely shielded from the things that happen in the neighborhood.
Right.
The gang wars, the fights, the drug deals, all those things, we still saw it, and I think seeing it showed me what not to do, because,
Gotcha. Right.
it was like you get money from having the drugs, but you got to handle the consequences that come with it, like somebody wanting your money or somebody jealous or envious.
Right.
So
Right.
I took those lessons with me, and it kept me going. It kept me away from those things. And then I saw my dad again doing his things, and how many times that he found himself ended up in jail or a fight or something. And again, showed me what not to do. So me and my buddies, they're my friends to this day. Everybody started dancing because dancing was a big thing in the 90s.
Yep.
And
Popular.
so we started dancing, and everybody on different sides of the city had different dance groups and everything, and we had our dance group. And it was so funny was that even gang members and drug dealers, they envied people that dance. We didn't see that coming, but it was like, it's a good thing because they didn't want us to follow the route that they were going. So they said they wanted us to keep dancing, which was, like I said, even though there's some bad there was some learning lessons and some good and love in the neighborhood. So every experience that I had learned, not just from the streets, I sucked in. When it came down to dancing, we did local talent shows, high school events, concerts, a couple of concerts with, I would say, it was a group called the Ghetto Boys back in the day, DJ Quick, Redman. We did those concerts, and then we had an opportunity to audition for the Apollo in New York. But they came to Chicago. We auditioned for the Apollo out of thousands of people who auditioned, and we got picked to be in a pre-selection, and we performed, and we won all expense paid trip to the Apollo in New York.
Good deal.
We performed on that, had a good time, came back, and it just so happened that when we got back, everyone started to go their own way. So I didn't have an option but to follow the leader, stop dancing, go my own way, and just try to make a life for myself. During that process, I was in and out of the hospital for asthma attacks. Bunch of severe asthma attacks where I had to be intubated. And then I had one episode where the doctors was at a situation where they were saying that it's all him now. There's nothing else that we can do. If he pulls through, that's good. If not, we let you know. So family and friends all came around me to support me and pray for me, and my brothers prayed around my bed, my physical brothers and my spiritual brothers, and I came to. And I just kept living, didn't think anything of it, just glad to be here. But then I met someone, we had a child, and we had 2 children actually. I worked full-time, find a job and everything, keep everything together. And right before we had our third, we decided to move to Columbus, Ohio, which I currently stay. When I got to Columbus, Ohio, it was very quiet, different from Chicago.
Yeah.
Different environment.
Different world.
Most definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't used to it at all, you know. So,
Mhm.
and I really didn't want to come at first, but the mother of my children at the time, she came up here to visit her parents, and who had just moved up here, and she liked it, and she said that when she came back to Chicago, she said, "Rather you want to go or not," she said, I'm moving up there," and I didn't want to go, but I didn't want to leave my children.
Yeah.
So um, one day it was a bag of cocaine, crack cocaine on the side of the house in a bag. And we had children running around and we saw it. And I was like, you know what? I'm gone. Y'all can have it. We're done. And I packed up and moved here. Um, and it was just an unexpected thing that I told you that it was quiet, but it was a different environment. It seemed like my life started to get more difficult, you know, and I didn't think it. I thought I was moving for a better life. But I got here. We moved in with her parents who didn't like me in the
Mm.
Mhm.
beginning. So, but we had to move in with them.
Yeah.
Um, and then at that same time, around 2001, we had Aaliyah, the singer Aaliyah, who passed away in a plane accident.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
And yeah, then I felt some kind of way because I had met Aaliyah in my dancing while in my dancing career. I had to audition for her and R. Kelly for a spot in their concert.
Right.
Um, I made it, but my buddy played like he was me since I wasn't available, and he messed up the spot. But
Yeah. Oh no.
Oh.
yeah, but I didn't hate him for it. You know, it was just like wow.
Kind of
So
part of the gig, huh?
yeah, so I felt some kind of way when that happened, but then it was like it just kept coming. I was looking for a job, trying to find a place, and then I had the mother of my children in my ear saying what I'm not doing. I need to hurry up and do it. Had mouths to feed. Was looking for a job, and then 9/11 happened,
Mm.
um, and that was a lot. So
Oh
like I
yeah.
said, it just seemed like everything was hitting at the same time. The following year, around 2002, 2003, we got a place across the street from her parents, and I think the snowball started to get bigger.
Mm.
Um, as we were talking, and she was yelling at me, and we was having a disagreement, and she broke off our engagement and put the ring on the counter. And as soon as she did, I was shocked, and I just went into my room and lied down. And then as soon as I lied down, I got a call from my cousin who told me, he said, I got a call from my dad this time. So like I said, it was around 2002, early 2002. And he said my grandmother wasn't looking good.
Mm.
We didn't know if she was going to make it. He said, you can talk to her if you want, but I don't know if she'll recognize you. I talked to her, she did recognize me. I smiled and everything. She was smiling. I heard her on the phone laughing. I want to say, and then later on that evening, he called and said she didn't make it. So
Wow.
Mm.
I felt some kind of way knowing that my engagement was over, and now my grandmother passed in the same night.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah. So we had to go to Chicago to bury my grandmother. Support the family. Came back, and as I was leaving on my way back, my cousin, he said to me, he said, "Cuz, you didn't come and see me." I told him, I said, "I'm sorry. I'm gonna see you the first person I see when I come up there. I'm gonna see you." A couple of months passed. I get a call. We were again debating in the kitchen,
Oh no.
and she had just found out that she was pregnant,
Oh.
and I was just like, wow, So she blamed me. It got nasty, and then I went into my room again. I don't know what it was about my room. Um, my cousin called and he said Vale dead, which was my other cousin.
Mm.
And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "He's gone. He's dead." So started crying, but I didn't grieve long enough, and surely we had to go and bury him. So I had my grandmother's death the prior year, and now his death that year.
Mm.
And again, I was working, trying to put food on the table, and I didn't have time to grieve. Um, as time goes on, we officially broke up. The engagement was off the first time. This time we broke up and was going through some things, and I didn't have time to grieve again. Not even for that. And I was just holding on to the grief, but working because I had to feed my children and my family. Then it was year after year. Something happened. My uncle passed away one year. Then the following year, my great-grandmother passed away. And then the following year, my other uncle passed away. And then in 2005, 2006, on a routine exam, I found out that I had lupus. And I was already born with asthma. And again, I was just like, okay, whatever. This is just one more thing. Just work, take care of the family. That's all I need to do. Put all those things aside, but I held on to them deep down, but I put all those things aside. And I want to say 2011, 2012, I went to the doctor for a checkup and found out that I had a pulmonary embolism. I was like, great.
So what exactly is that, Jay, if you don't mind me asking, just for the listeners to know as well?
Sure. Pulmonary embolism is when you have a blood clot in your lung.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I had one blood clot in my lung, and she said, take these medicines, these blood thinners. She said, if you don't, it can be fatal. I'd never thought that anything would happen to me, so I just kept working. I took my blood thinners, whatever. So I was taking my medicine, still had that grief, and then I want to say 2015, I got a call from my sister, and she said, Uncle Craig is dead. And it was like, wow. I said, what happened? And she told me that our little brother shot him, killed him.
Wow.
Killed him in our grandmother's kitchen.
Yeah.
So there was another piece of grief along with my blood clots and everything that was going on, stuff that I didn't have time to grieve for.
Yeah.
Went to Chicago, buried him, came back. I want to say late 2015. I met someone, but I started to break down because I now had severe depression, severe anxiety, lupus, asthma, grieving that I never did, got over things that was happening to me left and right. I met someone, even though I said I was done. We started dating, and in February we started dating seriously. I started to lose weight, because I was just not well because of everything. It took a toll on me. Right. And the only thing that kept me upright was meditations that I had picked up years prior.
Oh, okay.
Meditating, it literally kept me grounded when it seemed like the world around me was crumbling. But with that meditation, it just gave me assurance that everything was okay, even if my body showed differently, So I went to the doctor, I want to say the summer of 2016, again, for checkups, because I did a checkup every year. Now it appeared that not only did I now develop angina with my heart from the stress and everything, now I had 2 more pulmonary embolisms in my lungs. So I had 3 blood clots in my lungs, severe depression, severe anxiety.
So it's building up. In other words, all these things is all hitting you at once.
It was just a lot, It was just a lot. And again, the girl that I had just started dating, she was still there. I was shocked at everything that was going on. I was on the verge of losing my home. It was just a bunch. I worked for Coca-Cola since 2001. So one night I came in from work, August 17th, the evening. I came in from work. I was having a funny feeling in my chest. I didn't think anything of it. It just felt weird. I don't remember any pain or anything. I proceeded to start winding down for bed, call my buddy in Chicago, call my mom in Chicago, and the next thing I know, I'm waking up in a hospital about a week and a half later.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah. When I opened my eyes, I looked to my, they were standing on the left side of my bed. It was my parents and some family members and a doctor. And my mom had never came up here. Not really any of my family members other than my little brother and my cousin came up here beforehand. So to find a lot of them up here, I was shocked, but at the same time, I was just there, just hooked up to tubes and everything, breathing machine, opened my eyes, and I saw like this light, like a glow around my family. And I recognized it as love.
Wow.
From where I was just at before I opened my eyes, I explain that as I go. And the doctors was like, Jay, do you know where you are? I couldn't speak, but they said, you were in the hospital. They said you had a heart attack. They said, we lost you. You died for an entire day, but we got you back, but you came back. And I didn't think anything of it, of course. Closed my eyes again, woke up seeing some more family members. And my guy from Chicago, him and his wife and his kids came up here to see me. And his wife holding my hand saying that if you understand me, if you can hear me, squeeze my hand. I squeezed a hand and I went back out. Now, this whole time I'm lying in this bed with tubes and everything, but at the same time, I'm just there. I'm not panicking. I'm not in any form of distress or anything. And the whole time while everything happened, again, I did not know I was deceased until they told me. I thought that I was just sleeping.
Right.
That's how, that's how peaceful it was. And that's how that was the position that I was at. I thought I was just sleeping, I remember going through this tunnel, and this tunnel was like surrounding you, and, all around you. And the tunnel was like amber. For listeners, this is not hell. It wasn't hell. But
Wow.
it was amber, and it was like hands or people reaching up and out for me, but it wasn't a malicious thing. And I saw a couple of faces, not faces that I recognized, but people just reaching out for me. So as I got through the end of the tunnel, I noticed I was like just going down the highway, floating down the highway. And it was just so happened that the hospital that I was in was right there by the expressway. So I was floating by the highway, and it was gloomy and everything. And I found myself by a landmark that was in Columbus. And it was just like, next thing you know, I'm automatically in space.
Okay.
And I looked down, and it was like Earth. I used to say that it was, I saw a planet, but every time I had an interview, or every time I talked to somebody, someone said, they said it was the Earth. So I just like, okay, maybe it's the Earth, but I don't know. It was a planet.
Okay.
It looked like Earth. And it was energy protruding from the top of it in a form of like a tree. And it was going, just circulating in and out of the planet through this tree. It was just like going in and out, this energy. And I looked to my left, and I saw what looked like a wormhole, like a galaxy of, a spiral of stars, like a wormhole. I was curious to what it was, but I didn't go towards it. But I looked at it and looked at the planet again. Then I heard my name. And I don't know who called it. I don't know where it came from. And I noticed that I still existed. I was aware that I was still existing, that I still was existing. I had no form. I had no body. I was part of everything. Wherever I was part of everything. No fear, no anger, no doubt, no worry, no concern, no anything. So while I'm there, on the outside world, when I was admitted, they called my family in Chicago and said, someone need to get here with him. He's not looking good. And my mom, she was, they started to panic, of course, and they started working their way up to Chicago. And I I don't know how far they was in, but as they was coming here, they got a call back from the doctors and told them that I didn't make it. So they still continued to come. And they got there probably, I want to say, the late afternoon of the 18th. And I was in the hospital like early morning 18th. So, but they got there that late afternoon, probably, 18th. And when my mom got off the elevator, they said the waiting room was packed from my colleagues, my co-workers, friends, just a lot of people. They said it was so many people in the waiting room. They were all there for me.
Wow.
And when my mom got off the elevator, she was like, okay, where's my baby? And the mother of my children went to her and said that he's gone. And she just, partially collapsed, crying. And yeah, and then she went to the room to come and see me. And my daughter was in there, and my daughter, she was 18, and they told her to start the paperwork. We need your permission to, actually start, stop everything and do the paperwork. And she said, no, he's still in there. And she looked up at my mom and started crying. She said, I don't want to, Grandma. I don't want to do that. And my mom looked at her and said that he's gone, baby. There's nothing we can do. He's already gone. And she was like, no, he's still in there. So they were saying, even though he's gone, but fine, we'll wait another day.
That's amazing.
My job had already been noticed since they, notified, since they heard I was in the hospital that day, and they was notified that I passed away. So they started the process. They had already sent the information to the insurance company, and they sent the condolences letter to my family. They started everything. While my family was at my house, they were cleaning out my house and making memorial plans. And the next morning of the 19th, they got a call from the doctors and said, we don't understand it, but we found a faint pulse. So they were ecstatic at the same time, but grateful. My mom is a very religious woman. I can only imagine she was saying, thank you, Jesus. Thank you.
Yeah.
Faith strengthening, yes.
Yeah, so they came back up to the hospital. The doctors were saying, okay, even though we found a faint pulse, we don't want to get your hopes up high, but even though we found a faint pulse, his chance of survival was about 20-some% chance of survival. And if he do survive, we don't know what his quality of life is going to be, because everything was down. Everything, as you would expect when someone passed away, organs had all stopped working. So they put me in medically induced coma, and my organs started to come back faster than what they thought, and I, while in that coma, I had 26 strokes.
Ooh.
Yeah, and a lot of them was in my cerebellum, right, my brain stem, and a lot of other ones was right across my brain from one hemisphere to the other hemisphere, dead spots, from the strokes. So while they had me in this medically induced coma, when I came out the coma, I was still on the breathing machine, and they were doing dialysis to work on my kidneys to get those back, but they were still surprised how everything was just snapping back, and they asked my girlfriend at the time, because she was up there, she stayed there the whole time when she found out, because she worked at the hospital, and she had just came from the hospital that morning. And as soon as she walked in the house, she got a call from my son and said, Dad's dead. So she rushed back up to the hospital, and she was up there the whole time.
Yeah.
And I was shocked, and a part of me was like, wow, I mean, how do we go from death to us part just in dating in several months? We haven't got to that part.
Good point. Good point. Yeah.
I know. So she stayed by my side, and the doctors were saying that we don't know how everything just bouncing back. And they was talking to her, and she said, "Well, he doesn't smoke or drink, and I think it's because of his diet, because I tried to eat healthy and everything."
Yeah.
So, nevertheless, I was getting my workups and everything, and when they finally took me off the breathing machine, the nurses were kind of shocked because they were like, "Why is he smiling? We thought he was just going to be erratic after he woke up." And they was like, "Well, we don't know." They thought I was crazy, but I smile sometime when I'm in pain, and at the same time, I was now in a place where, oh my goodness, just bliss. I was just in a place of that same feeling that when I was on the other side, it was just bliss. No, I wasn't hurting. I wasn't thinking about anything. I was just existing, just same way when I was deceased. I am. That's how I felt. I just existed. So when I got back in my body, I just existed.
Wow.
And still, and one of the things I learned was that while I was over there, which made me recognize that glow that I told you about that was over my parents. That's how I recognized it as love.
Yeah.
Because when I was out, I realized and I learned that love was an actual entity. Love actually existed. It wasn't an emotion. It wasn't a feeling. It actually existed. The same way as the Holy Spirit, it still existed at all places, in many places at one time where it wanted to be. That's what love and who love is. And I recognized it when I was around my parents, my mom.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, so as I was, just still in the hospital, getting worked up, recuperating, I had to get the trach back in my throat, so I couldn't really talk. And the girlfriend that was right there, that stayed there, she was holding my hand, and I looked up at her, and I looked back down, and I started tearing up,
Yeah.
And I looked back up at her, and I mouthed, "Will you marry me?"
Wow.
Yeah, and she started tearing up, and of course she said yes. So we got engaged when I couldn't talk in the hospital after my event.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, and so some people, like my kid's mom, her family, and some other people was like wondering if I did it out of obligation, and I was like, no. I said I was the clearest I've ever been. I was a new person. Everything about me was guided by a spiritual force, a good spiritual force. So I trusted every decision that came with it, so that was the right thing to do when I did it, to assure them. They was like, wow. They said, yeah. So I was in the hospital. I had to overgo like different therapies to learn how to walk again, how to talk, how to problem solve, various things. But then I'm going to say I was in there for like a few months. I went in August 18th, 2016. I think I left in October. And when I stepped outside, it was like I was seeing everything for the first time. Felt like I had never seen them before. Everything just seemed new. The clouds, the buses, concrete, buildings, everything was just like new. No emotions in the sad sense. I was just there existing, observing everything. And this went on for a while. It was just, I would say to some people, and it sounds funny, it may sound morbid, but it was the best rest I ever had in my life.
Understood. Yes, I can only imagine. Wow.
Especially being one with the creator, with just that existing with the one.
I am, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yes, it was an amazing feeling.
I can imagine it was, yes. Well, I have a quick question.
Sure.
When you were describing the the waiting room, all the people that were there. Now, did you actually like see this through an OBE, or is this what was told to you like after the fact?
It was what was told to me by, by the staff and by my family. They were saying that the doctors were saying that when they came out to the waiting room, they thought some other people was waiting for other people, but it was like, no, it was crowded and everybody was in there for me.
Wow.
Yeah, I think at that time you had already escaped the hospital and you was like out in space, just chilling out in space doing something at that time, wasn't you? I mean,
yeah, because when my mom, when they first came into the room, everybody saw me. Like I said, I had already been gone for for most of the day until they got there, so I was gone for most of the day at that time, and my body had started to swell. Skin started to crack. I had blood coming from different orifices, on my face and out of the cracks in my skin. There was no blood circulating because my heart was stopped. So I was just I was just there, bloating, so to speak.
Wow.
Some people was like, why did they wheel you down to the morgue? I said, because they were kind enough and grateful and gracious enough to wait for my family to get there.
yeah.
And so, it was, I always, it was like wherever I went for my therapy afterwards, it was like the whole entire Ohio Health Medical Network had heard about it. So whenever I went somewhere, they would bring it up. They was like, do you remember we heard about what happened? Do you remember what you saw? And I had to explain to them, tell people. I didn't have a problem with it,
Yeah,
So,
that's cool though.
but I would tell the story everywhere I go to, a new facility, and to this day, my cardiologist, I get a checkup with him like every year. Every time I see him, he said, buddy, he said, you are a miracle. He said, I tell this to my colleagues, talk about you all the time to my colleagues. He said, you were gone. I said, wow. I said, I'm grateful to be here. He said, no, you don't have to be thankful for that. I'm grateful for us. Thank you. You're still here.
Yeah.
And then I went back for another checkup at the actual hospital. The surgeon that was there who did most of the work, while he was checking me, giving me my checkup, I was still little. Because after everything went, my body, all the swelling went down. He was saying, this may sound funny. He said, but can I get a picture with you?
Oh.
I was like, sure. It was odd for me, but he was like, sure. He said, yeah, I told my wife and everyone about this case and everything, and I just wanted to get a picture with you. I said, of course. So
That's cool.
Everyone was shocked about how everything happened, and I was just in the best place ever, newborn, and being a newborn, if you recognize how a newborn, when they're born, they're just accessible to everything they're around. As they get older, they soak up everything they learn just from experiences.
Right.
And that's how I was. I was a clean slate, and I was basically learning everything over again.
More pure, yeah. More back to that pure being that you are.
Yeah, it was an experience, and I think it was around the election time, and when a TV would come on, I would start feeling saddened, but it was almost like a new feeling for me, now that I was born. And it was because when the TV was on, I just saw hate, saw guile, I saw, it was just stuff about wars and the politicians going back and forth, and it was just saddening.
It is.
It was just really saddening. I was like, curious, like, what world did I come into? Just observing what is going on. And again, I was just here, just along for the ride, like I said, with the therapy, I went therapy for it was like 7 years and 10 months to the day, but I was going through therapy for a few years afterwards. And some things improved, some things didn't. Doctor said I will never be 100% again. So like, okay, it is what it is. Yeah, I'm still here. I didn't think anything of it. So I just try to live with what, the gift that I have to be back, and the gift of experiencing what it was like to be one with the all.
Wow.
And I practice telling people about love and the importance of love and allowing it into your life, and the difference between the thin line difference between love and infatuation and lust and loneliness. People often confuse those things with love. People get into relationships thinking that it's love, and a lot of times it's not. It's lust, or it's because they don't want to be alone.
Yep.
Or someone may be in an abusive relationship, and a person may say that I love you, and that's not the thing. They just have a possessive thing going. They're just possessive. So their thing is about selfishness, not about love.
Yeah.
And it was just common. And I just felt, like it was my duty to help spread the message of love to people and help explain, explain to how it's not an emotion, that it's just like you embrace most people, not all people, embrace the Holy Spirit or embrace any spirit. Love falls in that same category. You can embrace it and it still exists whether you want it to or not with you.
Right. That's beautiful. And I like how you said that. Yeah, being an entity. Well, we could even, you had, I can sense your spiritual background, and it kind of comes to mind the scripture where it says that God is love. If that's actually, if you, I like how you said that's not just an emotion; it is an entity. It is something. So I guess if all is God, then it would be love is God, God is love. That scripture resonates. When you said that, I kind of thought about that scripture.
Indeed, and you're right. And it was, I think it's like when I go places for a while. I go places, and sometimes I walk with my cane. And someone would ask me, they say, "Why are you walking with a cane?" And I said, I had a heart attack and 26 strokes. They said, "What?" They said, "Well, you look so good. You don't like you had that." I said, "Well, I mean, I'm grateful. I'm humble for that. Thank you." But I still got some things to go on, even though the outside may not appear that way, And I think for 4-5 years, I had insomnia after that.
Wow.
I couldn't sleep. Yeah. I couldn't sleep for anything. And when I finally tried to go to sleep, I think PTSD kicked in because I woke right back up when I tried to go. When I actually got close, I woke right back up because I was afraid that I was deceased again, because I was like, last time I thought that I was just sleeping, but I was actually deceased.
Oh,
so
I could see how. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I don't want to go to sleep because I may be deceased again, But I know that I'm here for a reason. So, so I was just like, people ask me like, "Are you afraid to die?" I said, "No, I'm not afraid. It's just that now I know that I have some things to do, and I'm not sure what all of them are, but I have some things to do, and I'm not ready yet, but I'm not afraid, especially what I experienced."
Right.
But yeah, it was hard to go to sleep. And then I had to realize that I was walking with one foot in the spiritual world and one foot in the physical world.
Okay.
And the reason why I wasn't able to sleep, because where I was, there was no time. There was no time limit or anything. You just existed. There was no such thing as time. So you didn't need to sleep where you were.
Yeah.
So by me being half in the physical and half in the spiritual world, the spiritual world, the spiritual part of me was stronger than the physical part, so it still didn't require any sleep.
Understood.
But
yeah,
my body was still like, okay, I'm still here.
Right.
We need sleep.
That's right.
Wow.
Kind of hard to find that balance
Yeah.
at first, I'm sure.
I'm sorry.
I'm sure it was kind of hard probably to find that balance after your experience to get back into that routine of being able to have a natural sleep, you know.
Oh yeah, it was, beyond hard, because even though, me a witness, acknowledging that I still had the illnesses that came with it. I had now developed neuropathy, nerve damage, the left side of my body from my, I want to say my knee down. I can't move my foot anymore. There's nerve damage in there. My toes, I can't wiggle them or anything. I have vertigo, chronic vertigo. There's no medicine or surgery that can fix it. So some days are better than others. Some days are just brutal. And I have to sit it out.
Right.
I'm sick often, and because of the brain cells that were damaged across my brain, my neurologist, he said we can't really pinpoint what part that is, that sort of dead brain cells, what part they operate. So I was like, okay, I take it for what it is, So when I get sick, it can be a possibility because it can be a result of the brain damage. And sometimes I don't know why I'm sick, So it's a roller coaster of illnesses, that comes with it. But I still try to smile and be optimistic, even though sometimes it's very rough, The spiritual part started to, I want to say, take a back seat to an extent. And the physical part, the longer I was here, just like a child, the longer you hear, the more you start to adapt to what's going on around you. The more you start to experience these things.
That's right.
But while the spiritual part was prevalent, I would have visions that I wouldn't understand. And I would feel a certain way right before an event would happen. And I didn't understand that till probably like a year or two later. It was feeling this heavy feeling one day. It wasn't just one day, it lasted for a few days. And then next thing you know, there was like train derailment in Washington some years back. And then I was like, okay, maybe that's just a coincidence, but it just happened, and then it happened again, had that feeling, and then I want to say shortly after that, then the mass shooting in Vegas happened. And I said, okay, this is getting a little eerie. Maybe this is not a coincidence.
Yeah.
And I started posting. Like one time I posted on social media on Facebook. I said to people, something is about to happen. I feel it. I said, it's very heavy. I said, it's going to affect everyone across the world. It's going to be a detrimental, a big event. Something is going to happen. Really, it's coming. I don't think anybody paid attention to it when I posted it. So the next day, the George Floyd incident happened. And I was like, yeah, this is real.
Isn't that something? Wow.
I was like, this is real. And I would talk to a creator and I would say, okay, this is a bit much for me because I'm exhausted from trying to keep it together because I'm always sick. So I use that energy to try to keep it together. And now you give me this gift, if this is what it is, or these things, visions that I see. I'm like, but what purpose do I have these visions? Am I helping someone? And it's draining me more. I said, please just take it from me for now. I just can't do it, and I stopped having them. So I was focusing more on my health, trying to stay together. And as soon as I started feeling better, I want to say a year later, I started feeling better. I said, okay, let's give it a shot. I prayed, talked to him and everything. And I would say I started meditating again. and they came through my meditations all the time. And just one time I was sitting in it's my stepson's closet. It's really quiet in there. That's why I go in there.
Right.
And I was meditating. And when I was meditating, I had this vision of like a war or a battle was going on. And I came out and I told my wife, I said, I had this vision of a war, a battle going on. I said, it was these people in green with red across their, like a red banner or something across their head. I said, but it was ironic. I said, like, they was fighting against each other and everything. But yeah, it's something's going to happen with this war. And it was like short time after that, the Ukraine war kicked off. Ooh. And I was like, wow. I got goosebumps when I had said it too, because it's like that was one of Russia's symbols, green with that red in their cap. And Ukraine is not too far from Russia.
Yeah.
And at one point in time, I believe they was part of them at one point in time, a long time ago. So I told her, I was like, wow. And then again, I started talking to my creator. I said, I know these things, I see these things are going to happen, but what is the use of having them? Can I help somebody again? Why I'm having them? I don't think I got an answer. But I just kept trying to just live my life the best way I knew how to, the illnesses, the new emotions, the people, everything that came with it. I just tried to just keep going. And every now and then I would have another vision of something that would happen. But I'm just grateful, and humble. It's always a humbling experience to be able to know that I was chosen to experience that, and share it with different people from different parts of the planet, and just grateful and humble for it, because after I saw so many people that I knew for years after that pass away from a heart attack or from strokes.
Yeah. Puts things in different perspective. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I had what they call survivor's remorse. People pass away from one stroke, and I'm like, I had 26 of them. And it's like, yeah, but just grateful that I'm still here.
That's awesome.
Definitely. Sorry for that long rant.
I can see why before your experience, why the waiting room was the way it was filled, because your personality and your love and just your lightheartedness, the laughter that comes through after this event, I can only imagine how many people were truly there, because your light is truly shining through this, and then that is beautiful.
It is, yeah. I feel it as well. Yeah, that's just...
Thank you, and I look at I don't take it for granted. I don't take it for granted at all. It's just who I am.
That's right.
And I'm grateful for it. And I'm still learning again, because I'm still learning the world. I had to start. I literally started completely over with my life. Not just spiritually and physically. I lost my job because of it. But I'm not upset. I worked for Coca-Cola for nearly 20 years.
Wow.
And I couldn't do that anymore. So I lost that job, and I lost my home shortly after that, because I couldn't do mortgage or anything anymore. So I still wasn't sad about it at all.
Yeah.
I was just focused and just trying to make sense of this, to me, new world that I just got reintroduced to.
Yeah.
It was like no room for being angry or sadness. It won't make me feel better. I was saying it won't change anything.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Yes, sir.
I just keep going.
It really is. I've got a quick question for you within the context. You had mentioned earlier, after you came back from this experience, and you saw the darkness in this world, and you're speaking of it, as we speak right now, making adjustments to this world and things like that. But you described it. You said you saw the darkness, with the wars, and they have the political thing going on at the time, and all this stuff. So my question would be, what would you, since you've experienced that pure love, that unconditional experience that you've had, and you've got that as part of you now, and then you come back to this side where it's like you said earlier, people say they love each other, but look at the fruits. I mean, look at the world. Does this look like a world of love? So my question is, where does this darkness come from? And, and why is there so much of it? Just from your perspective, what would you say?
Well, I would probably say that I think this darkness comes from not just from people's fear, fear of being. It's almost like how they say that the body has that this survival mechanism. I think a lot of people tend to hinge more on the physical attributes of everything.
Gotcha.
And the physical attributes is all temporary. Everything that we experience, at our homes, the cars, the money, our bodies, it's all temporary. It's all physical. And I think there's been, if I'm not mistaken, there have been parts in the scriptures that talk about the damage from relying on the physical.
Right.
Things that can happen from being so reliable on the physical. And I think that's what it is. There's nothing good that comes from the physical, so to speak. Everything has, I want to say, it sounds funny, a driver.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like everybody have a driver. I look at the spirit as being fluid, and it's like water. It takes the shape of whatever it occupies, i.e. our bodies.
Yeah.
And I think that I feel that whatever that's causing these people to have so much darkness or anger with them is something else driving that vehicle that they're in, their bodies. There's something else driving it,
Gotcha.
And if I would say in certain scriptures, they talk about how the adversary, this is like his time to do his dirt.
Uh-huh. Right.
I kind of believe it.
There's definitely something here.
Yeah, man is very successful to it, and they say it's easy to do bad, and it's true.
It is.
And people like to take the easy way out.
That's right.
Now they say, wide is the gate that leads to destruction, narrow
To life, yeah.
You know which scripture I'm talking about, right?
Yes, sir. And narrows that want path to life, yeah.
Yeah, and people don't like the narrow sometimes. They want it quick and fast. So when you want it quick and fast, you get what comes with being quick and fast.
Yeah.
Error, darkness, confusion, hate, anger, sadness, malice, lust.
Absolutely.
All of the above.
Yeah. And I would say, this is just to throw in, that narrow path is more of a discipline. You really have to, at least in this world, at least I feel, like I said, it's just an opinion, but you really have to work at, just work at being a good person and have that love and that respect for your fellow man and do kindness, do love, do help other people. It really is it's more of a discipline, whereas you've got a lot of people out there, they think, well, I'm covered, I'm good, I'm saved, I don't have to do nothing. And then, I'm just saying.
You're right. You're 100% right. People say I'm saved or I'm good and everything, but they go out and do the same thing that's keeping them in the same position that they're in.
Correct.
And sometimes they think that because they get a lot of money that they've been blessed. But Scripture will also tell you that the sun shines on the just and unjust alike.
True. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you get money, it doesn't necessarily mean you're blessed.
That's right.
And that's why everything that, and I have told a lot of people, everything that I experienced in my life, and everything that I experienced and witnessed in my life, some of them were terrifying, some of them were very scary, but I learned from each thing and I didn't run from it. And each one gave me strength to tackle the next thing that comes.
Right.
And I always tell people, I said, and it's gonna come. It's inevitable. It's always going to come. And how you handle it depends on how you handle the first thing. So don't run from it. Now, I'm not saying just embrace it because sometimes it's confusing. Don't run from it. Experience and learn from it.
Right.
And take that energy and hold on to that energy. A lot of times, some people like to run from it or keep certain things out of their life so that they won't experience things. And if they won't experiencing things, since the fact they won't experience these things, they are kind of cheating their spirit. They're not strengthening themselves because you keep, ignoring it. You keep ignoring that strength that keep coming to you. It's not to you most of the time, it's not coming to you to destroy you. It's coming to you to give you strength that you are going to need.
Soul growth.
Yeah, and I don't think I feel that a lot of people don't acknowledge that, don't care to acknowledge it because they want what's now.
Right.
Know?
Yeah.
And they feel that if you don't go through anything, that's the best life to have. And it's like, it's not really the best life to have because, again, the way this world works, you will be confronted with something.
That's right.
And because you haven't experienced anything, it's a good possibility you're not going to survive it.
Yeah, well said.
Okay, so I have a question with your meditations. When you had your experience, you said that you still existed, you had no form, no body, you were part of everything, that you were part of the I am. When you do your meditations, are you able to reconnect with that and experience that as well today?
Yeah, talk about the spiritual part of things. I was just thinking of how to tell you all about that.
And believe it or not, guys, that was my next question too. So
Spirit's led.
Yeah, so we're all ears, man. Anything from the story or from tips or how to do this or what to do. I mean, I think anybody can benefit from your experience. Yeah, we'd love to hear.
When I started meditating, like I said, I want to say 2011, around that area time. And it was because I was going through so much. And like I said, it was lost in families, emotions, all these things were going through. And I needed something I was looking for anything to help me. And I came across this book called Autobiography of a Yogi.
Okay. Yep.
And so I looked at it. I read the book. I read the whole book like in a week. I loved it. He talked about meditation and some of the gifts from it. And I started meditating. At first, I couldn't sit for 3 minutes without my mind going crazy.
That's right.
And then, but me, I was desperate. So I just kept trying.
That's the way to
kept
do it.
going, even though sometimes my mind would go crazy, and then went from 3 minutes to 5 and from 5 to 15 and just kept going up, And the more I started meditating, it was the more I realized that this is where I needed to be keep it. I always say that most people pray, doing all the talking and praying to the Creator. They do so much talking and praying, but most people at the same time very rarely stop and listen.
That's right.
Right.
That inner voice.
And meditation is that time to stop and listen.
Yeah.
Yes.
You pray so much, and now it's almost like you did your talking, now stop.
That's right.
Don't go back to what you were doing. Stop and listen and be quiet. And when I do it, when I meditate, and I told people this, they said, what was it like? And I said, the best way that I can tell you how you can experience even something remotely close is through meditations.
Absolutely.
Practice meditations, because meditation is the closest thing that I can relate to it, because in my meditation I can get back into that. I can feel that oneness again. I can feel that acceptance, that what they call it, the non-judgment zone.
That unconditional pure love.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I I love to do it because, my wife, excuse me, we would talk and I would tell her, I said, baby, it's so chaotic out here. And I said, the only thing that's usually keeping me, I said, no offense to you, love. I love you, life,
Right.
I said, but my meditations is what almost like grounds me. It's like almost like that tether that connects me and keeps me connected to that spiritual realm.
That's
that
right.
spiritual world.
That's right.
You know, the place where I feel comfortable, the way that I feel unjudged, the place where I feel that I'm one with my Creator. And when it's quiet, the quiet doesn't mean that it's not worth anything. That quiet, that peace is worth a lot. Be more than surprised to realize how much that peace is priceless.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely right.
You know, and sometimes you may get visions here and there. You may hear something, you know, you may feel something there. You know, sometimes those things happen. But just like you read to practice, you know, with your brain and your mental thing, meditation is the same way. You have to keep at it.
Like dancing.
Keep practicing.
Like dancing. You gotta practice to be the best.
Yes, you do. You have to keep at it, you know. That's the funny thing, my wife doesn't meditate. You know,
Okay,
she said,
yeah.
I can't sit still for this. I can't sit still for 5 minutes. I said, it's
It
okay.
takes practice, yeah. It takes time
Yeah.
to work it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like when you go into meditation and you trying to stop these thoughts and whatnot, I said you're not meditating
No.
because your attention is on trying.
Yeah.
I said you're supposed
go.
to just sit and let it be.
That's right.
You know, exactly. Let it be. It's going to keep going. It's going to keep going till it stops.
It will too. It will.
Yeah, but you have to keep at it and keep practicing to allow it to stop.
Yeah. So what's your actual technique that you prefer? You know, you've been doing it since
Well-
2011, so you've got some experience.
Well, one of the things that I learned when I started the meditation was one of the first things I learned was breathing,
Right.
the importance of breathing, you know, breathing techniques. And one of the things it told me was that focus. One of the ways to stop focusing, to not focus on other things, was to focus on my breathing first.
That's right.
And when you're focusing on your breathing, and then you stop counting or focusing on your breathing, then it becomes like natural, you know. And then next thing you know, you're in that meditative state,
Yep.
you know, without you even knowing, because you were focusing on your breathing.
Right.
And I also tell people one of the ways to start is that, you know, another way that you could try, and I tried this before as well, is that listen to something that calms you, that relaxes you.
Yep.
While you're trying to meditate, whether it's water, wind, whatever it is, birds, whatnot. Listen to it often when you're trying to meditate. Every time, try it once in the morning before everybody wake up, and in the evening after everybody goes to sleep, so you don't have distractions.
Yep.
But when you keep putting these different sounds that relax you in your head, they kind of program and take place of everything else that's usually goes around in your head.
That's right.
So
Nice
they take
point,
place
man.
of it, and then you get to a point to where when you're meditating, that those sounds, you listening to them, then all of a sudden they just disappear, and you in the meditative state. You're there. You're just existing. You're not there to talk to anyone. You're not there to automatically see things. You're there to just be one with the all.
Yes.
And if he decides to show you something, cool. If he decides you experience something, cool.
Right.
But your goal is to just be
That's
and
right.
practice.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well said. Beautifully said. So, the oneness, okay, with the all. From my understanding, what I'm learning a lot of, and I'd like to get your opinion on this, is, you know, that man has become more self, okay, more about the self and selfish because of the separateness, okay? We look at like, I'm me, you're you, he's he, she's, you know, we got this illusion that we're all separate, you know, when I feel the truth is that we are all God. And when you say that to somebody, if they're hearing if they're going to hear that from the ego, first thing they want to say, well, you're blasphemy, you're the devil, you're possessed. That's not what that means, you know? So when I say that we all are God, I mean that we've all got that divine spark in all of us, that life that is all of us. And I believe from experience, and I want to get your opinion on this, that meditation is one of the forms that helps you to balance back into that oneness with the all. What is your take on that?
I agree. That it's you know, I would say that most people, most men, when they're born, you spent majority of your time adapting to everything physical around you. You know, and for most people, sometimes it's 30 years, 40 years, or however many years. And that's a long time to be adapted to something, to be accustomed to something, and to be away from something, so to speak. Be away from the you, your true self, your true you, and being one with the Creator. So now you have to practice becoming one with everything, one with the Creator. Something that may seem new to you is only because you are here, only because you were born and you were sucked in all the stuff from everything else and you're used to it. Now you have to get used to reintroducing yourself to your you, to your true self of just being. Like you say, it's practice. And I think a lot of it's something similar to what you said. A lot of people listen to their ego.
Yep.
You know, the ego is a powerful thing. And the ego sometimes will tell you, now, why are you sitting for so long? You ain't heard nothing, so it's not working. Get up and keep it moving.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like it's wanting to hold you back, you know, because ego's comfortable with where it's at, you know. And the key is, you know, I hear different stories. You know, some say, well, you got to kill it. Another one says, no, you just got to really get it in balance, you know. So I get it, you know, because we are individuals, you know, we are God as well. And that's the dichotomy of it all. You know, it's just, and that's what a lot of people don't get, you know, and especially with a lot of the mainstream religions, they teach that God is out there. He's way out there. He's like way up in the heavens, or this bearded guy that's judging and condemning, and you know, and you can't get to God. You know, you're going to have to go through us to get to that. So, it seems like a lot of the world has been raised like that. Not all. You know, we got lots of different religions and customs and all that, especially like, you know, just different belief systems and all. So, just that, I think that just that awareness of the oneness. That divine universal oneness is really just that awareness is really the direction to go. It's what really helped me to understand that I am me, but I'm not me, you know. And I know that's kind of you know, kind of tricky with people, but so
yeah, I understand. You know, what's funny is I told when I say to people, and it's like it's not to offend people. That's everything I say out of love. Unfortunately, I say religions, they do more separating than bringing people together.
Truth
Different
is
religions.
Truth is truth.
Because sometimes, and this may sound funny too for some people, sometimes there's hate in the undertone of some of the religions. Not to be around this person, not to do that with this person, not to commune with this person. Yeah. And it's like, to an extent, it's like, that's not teaching people to be one. It's not explaining them that they're one. You know, one of the things that I do with everyone that I've met, especially since, you know, my transition, I tell everyone I love them. You know, and some people was like, you don't even know me. How you love me? I said, I know you. I said, I may not know your physical you. I said, but I know your spiritual you because we come from the same place.
Right
and why would I not love myself? You know,
exactly. Not well said.
Love some. Yeah, it's like, why would I do that? They say, well, you don't know me. It's like, okay.
You're coming from a different place.
Anyway, because I know you, because we're part of the same, we come from the same place.
That's right.
Our existence, our DNA, our, you know, who we are, our being, you know, everything that has life, everything that exists, whether it's an animal or a human. So we all have some kind of part of connectedness. We're all, you know, a lot of similarities, and it's not physical, but we have a lot of similarities, and we're all connected. So I'll be remiss if I didn't tell you I love you.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Nice analogy. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question for you. What words of wisdom would you have for all of our listeners from your experience?
I would say don't run from your experiences that you experience in life, even if it looks scary. You know, I'm not saying be a fool and sit there in front of, you know, a gun, you know, if you don't have to, you know. But if you're there and you survive it, learn from it. You know, learn from every experience. Every experience gives you something to take to the next experience. It may be the smallest thing, the smallest thing. And then all things, it says it in scriptures too, and it said in all things love God.
Right.
Love. If you don't know love, learn love. And it starts with loving you.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't
Right.
look in the mirror and say, I love you, you got some practicing to do.
That's
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
I've heard that if you can't love yourself, how can you love others? Is that true?
Exactly.
Indeed.
It makes
Yes,
sense.
it is.
Yeah.
Because you don't really know love if you don't love yourself.
Right.
You know, and if you love yourself, you wouldn't put yourself in harm intentionally. You would not do something that's going to harm the body that you've been blessed with. You know, you're not going to put yourself in a place that can harm you intentionally. If you really love yourself, you're going to take care of yourself to the best of your ability, showing that you love. And when you go to someone else to show them that you love them, you can practice that same love on them by wanting the best for them, by helping them take care of their body, by giving them, I want to say, not just good advice or wanting to see them improve.
Yeah.
You know,
Spread
you want
the
to help
love.
build them up. You know, those are some of the attributes of love. And if you can show it to yourself, it should help you show it to others.
Well said.
Exactly. Very well said. Very well said. So basically, we're here to experience and grow from that. So I do have a question for you. Hearing your statements and your comments and everything, you are living a life of love and experience, and that showing that to others. Have you read the Conversations with God book from Neil Donald Walsh? Because you are hitting on some of the things that he hit on his book.
I haven't. I think the closest book that I read, I want to say that's even similar. Is not. Some would say it's not even similar. Was, and I read this a long time ago. It was by Napoleon Hill. It was called Outwitting the Devil. That book had a lot of strong points, you know, to point to why people do the things that they do, you know, and what people think of the adversary or the devil, or so to speak, with horns and things like that, is not like that. That book tells you that majority of the things that you do, you know, are our representation of the adversary. The adversary basically just means to be adverse from the other party. You know, if you're not good, that first part of that is bad. If you're not white, the first part of that is black. I mean, not in skin color.
Right. I
You
understand.
know,
Yeah,
darkness,
Uh-huh.
light, hot, cold. They're all adverse against each other. So what's adverse to good is bad. So the adversary comes in your actions. It comes in your, like the scripture says, it's not what goes into the mouth of man that defiles him, but what comes out of his mouth.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
I
true.
like how you
So-
put that together. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be surprised that I said this a long time ago to people, is that one of the ways, and it's sometimes it's far and in between where you may meet somebody. Sometimes you may meet someone who's never read a religious book, never read the Quran or the Bible or whatnot, but they live their life according to it, as if
Yes.
they did read it.
Absolutely.
You know, they live it spiritually because they're in tune. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And you have some people quoting some things or saying some things. You was like, that's in the Bible. That's in the Quran. You like, you know what? I never read it. You know, it's
Right.
like, wow.
You're
Tuned into the spirit. Yeah.
experiencing life the way you came into this world, because our children love wholeheartedly and unconditionally. And that's there's a scripture that says, you know, let them come to me as the children do. And that is
Yes.
that pure love, just being giving and loving of all and everything.
Yes, it is. It is a strong. I think I feel that's another thing that I can tell people, that love is not an emotion. As I told you before, if I would tell people something, I would say, some people may feel hurt by this. Like, look, reevaluate your relationships. Reevaluate whether it's a romantic relationship, a friend relationship, a family relationship, whichever one. Reevaluate those things and ask yourself, am I existing with these people through love, or am I existing through those other means, through the lust, through the not want to be alone, through the need to be accepted? Am I existing with these people through those things, or am I existing through real, actual love? And some people may be like, man, I don't want to do that, because once I realize that I'm actually don't love this person, I may have to leave them, or I may have to reevaluate our relationship. And they don't want to do that because they're afraid of probably losing the person that they're with. But you got to be honest with yourself and say, are we in whatever relationship we're in via love, or is it something else? And that gives you something, I say, a foundation to work on as far as improving your relationship with love.
I like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So, Mr. J, I'm looking at the clock on the wall here, my man. We're going to go ahead and maybe kind of wrap things up here. Before we do, I've got a question for you. And, I love your story. I love your background, where you came from, your experiences and things like that. Where you're at now at this point in your life, what have you learned from all of this?
The things that I learned thus far was the thing about love and perseverance.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think my body is making me learn perseverance.
Oh, I can only imagine. Yes, sir. A lot of times you don't have a choice. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I have a 4-year-old who we didn't think could have children after everything. And she brings me joy, and she kind of was like my tether to what it feels like to be that unconditional love, to be pure, to be one not too far removed from our Creator.
That's right. The young are like that. They have that purity to them.
Yeah, she's fairly new. She's only been here 4 years, so she still has that connection.
That's right.
To be around her and sometimes to see her or hear her laugh and everything, that is a reminder for me. And even though my stuff was 7 years ago, it's still fresh within me, but I'm still learning to keep it going. I'm still learning to stay optimistic, still learning to practice perseverance, and through it all, loving myself and loving my Creator and loving the experiences that He allowed me to experience, and to still be here. I'm going to say, what more can I ask for?
Yeah.
And I'm grateful.
Well
Exactly,
said.
yeah,
Well
very
said.
well
That's
said.
beautiful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I'll tell you what, one final question, if I may. If it totally up to you, is there any way, if somebody wanted to contact you for any questioning or to share your story with or anything, is there any kind of information, some contact information that you'd like for us to leave? Only if you're up to it. If not, that's cool too. Is there kind of any information that you can leave for the listeners to contact you?
Sure. You can message me through Messenger on Facebook as under Nasi Uziel.
Okay.
It's NASIUZZIEL.
Okay.
I have an Instagram post, but that sometimes that's iffy for me because it's all pictures.
I totally understand. Yeah.
I can't really say anything. And my email, you can always email me at Mr. MR_Martin, MARTIN, 216 @yahoo.com. I check my emails every day. Those are probably the best ways to reach me.
Okay, Mr. MR_Martin, MARTIN 216 at Yahoo?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, awesome, beautiful. Mr. J, you are a beautiful soul, brother. Thank you,
Yes.
man. I just, I felt your love from the moment you came on, and I'm still feeling it now. So thank you for sharing that with us and for all the listeners and everything. So
Yes, even through all your trials and tribulations with your health and all, you still
Your pain and
are
suffering,
radiating
yeah.
beautiful energy, and we feel that. So thank you for your time and energy today.
absolutely.
Hallelujah. All praises to our Creator, and I love you both.
We
You
love you
as
too,
well.
my
We love
brother.
you.
Listen, you take care of yourself, and Thank you so much for, again, sharing your story with us. Have you ever thought about maybe putting it into a book, man?
I wrote a book.
Okay. Would you like to put a plug
Sorry,
in?
I didn't. Sorry, I didn't mention that. Don't
Sure.
apologize.
Why don't we put a plug in for you? Absolutely. We'd love to.
It's called The Second Time Around, a memoir about a life, a death, and a second chance.
Wow. There you go. And where can they find
It's
it?
on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. I just did I want to say, an excerpt of my story in a publication called Guidepost.
Yeah.
They just did a publication. I think it was earlier this year, and I'm in that publication. I got the book. They sent me 2 copies.
Okay, good deal.
It is called A Place of Light and Love, Witnessing Heaven.
You said Jay was your middle name earlier. Is it under that Arthur name?
L.J. Martin.
L.J. Martin. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yes, we appreciate you so much. And when we get all this ready for you, we will definitely, I'll reach out to you and send you a link to it so you can share as you like and listen to it as well.
Sounds good. I appreciate you both. You all stay blessed and safe.
You
as well.
Jay.
We
Thank you
send
so
you our
much.
love, peace, and blessings to you, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
You as well.
You too.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay. There you have it, Mr. J. Martin. And wow, what a beautiful story. Miss Daphne, what do you think about that?
I'm still sitting here in awe of it, because after all he has been through, his trials with his health and all, he still radiates this beautiful, loving energy. And I felt that through the phone, and I hope our listeners did as well.
Absolutely.
Because he's been through so much and still going through it. But he has such a humble and loving, grateful spirit about him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can feel it. You can feel it. You can sense it. Spirit is spirit. Love is love. Love has no boundaries. You can feel love through a phone call just like that, So just wanted to make that comment.
Oh yeah, as well as I loved hearing his lightheartedness through all of it, and the laughter, the amount of laughter that he has in his life, because laughter is the best medicine for all things. It's a healing
Yeah, absolutely.
process when you can laugh, even though you may be down and hurt and out. If you can laugh, it heals and uplifts the spirit.
It does. And guys, for those who are listening, laughter is the God within you.
Yes.
And God, from what I understand, is a comedian, is lighthearted. We hear a lot of these stories of near-death experiences and things like that. Of course, we know God is all things. I'm just saying, but we hear these experiences where people actually meet what they would call God or the all the Great Spirit or because it will manifest the way it needs to for that person. But there's
Right.
been so many stories that they say he's very lighthearted, laughing all the time. That's just that love. And it's not just a mean kind of wrathful kind of
vengeful.
So a lot of people don't think about that, but I believe that. If a person is lighthearted, especially like the comedian kind of type spirits, just that fun, just to be around. You love the energy. It's a high energy. It's a loving energy.
Yes.
That's spiritual, guys. That is a high spiritually evolved being. Okay, the more we call it lighthearted. The more lighthearted a person is, you can bet the more spiritual they are.
Oh, most definitely. I love the statement that he made through his experience, that he said he still exists, that there was no form, no body, but was a part of everything. Just being
back into the one.
I
Yep.
am. Yeah.
I love that.
And that's what is that entity, what he's calling love.
Yeah.
Love
call
is not
God.
just an emotion and a feeling, but an entity.
I like how you said that. I never really thought of it that way. Of course, we look at God as an entity. Some do, but it resonates, makes sense. Love, that is a spirit, is an entity, the spirit of love,
Right.
Yeah, it resonates, And like we had mentioned earlier, the scripture, God is love. So Yeah, I love the way he brought it out. I never really thought it from that perspective, but it really
Right.
resonated when he said that with me as well.
It did with me as well. And also how now he still connects with that divine oneness because he does it through meditations. And that's something we could all start practicing. I mean, like he said, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, the time builds, and it is a process.
Yes.
But he connects with that source energy, that divine one, through his meditations. And it's not something you have to really sit here and just, talk and talk and talk and talk like in prayer, like he brings out, but actually just sit and just sit and
Be
listen.
quiet and know.
Yes, exactly.
Just saying.
That
Just
still
saying.
quiet voice. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the God within. If you guys
Exactly.
want to pray, praying is not just talking and babbling and saying, I want this or thank you for that, all that. That's fine. But prayer really is meditation.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's been changed and called prayer and has become more ritualistic. Okay, typically, people are praying for something, whereas the meditation is what the ascended masters and the greats, always like Jesus and Yeshua and all that, has done. Meditation is you, just like Jay was saying earlier. It's you going back within,
Reflecting within,
that
yeah.
kingdom within, like the great said, you're going within and you are becoming that one, with the all. And that's really the difference between like a meditation and a prayer, I guess, So
Right.
whatever works, I think they're both very important.
Yes.
But find out what really works best for you. But like we said, you don't want it to be like pray and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Okay, later
Sit
I'm
and
out of
listen.
here.
Yeah.
No. When you get to a level of spirituality, when you're really trying to connect with your higher self or with the all, or you're on that spiritual path, guys, meditation is the only way.
It's key, yeah.
It's the only way. I don't know any other kind of way. Not knocking any other kind of way, but meditation is a form of what we call prayer. Or prayer is meditation. It really is connected, but it's more than just, like we said, just saying a bunch of words or praying for this, praying for that, praying this happens, or that God does this for you or does that for this. No, it's different because you're actually going within, and I love that about him. And he actually shares some really good tips on that.
That's what I was gonna say, yeah.
for us all. So. All righty. Well, let's go ahead and wrap things up, Miss Daphne. Mr. Martin, we thank you so much for sharing your story with us, brother, and we love you and send you our peace and blessings to you and your family. And for all the listeners out there, we love you all. We thank you so much for tuning in. And don't forget to go to the website, NDE.world, for more information. We've got a ton of podcasts and things over there you can really learn from and grow from. And, especially if you're on your spiritual path, you can get a lot of information from there. And also,
We are here for you guys, share your experience. If you have suggestions on a topic you would like us to cover, if you haven't seen it in our episode list, make suggestions.
yeah, absolutely. So with that thought in mind, guys, we'll love you all. May peace be with you all. Until next time.
Y'all let your light shine.
Hello, you beautiful souls. Don't forget to visit the website, nde.world. That is
NDE.world.